Welcome to our Hong Kong Brief Show. Let's dive into today's news roundup with a sprinkle of zest and maybe a dash of humor. First off, Tencent might just surprise us all with its Q4 performance. While sales growth is moving at the pace of a leisurely stroll, profit margins are expected to leapfrog expectations. Thanks to a clever pivot towards high-margin fun stuff like mini-games and live-streaming video, Tencent is also hinting at treating its shareholders to some extra goodies through dividends or share buybacks. Shares have been on a mini roller coaster, climbing 6% in the past 2 months, and there's a buzz of optimism for a potential catch-up in its share price. Meanwhile, over in the drama-filled world of real estate, China Evergrande Group is making headlines for all the wrong reasons. Founder Hui Ka-yin finds himself in the eye of a financial storm, with accusations of a whopping $78 billion fraud. It's like a plot twist in a financial thriller, with Evergrande's onshore unit getting creative with its revenue reporting. The saga has led to a hefty $581 million fine, and it seems this might just be the opening act for more serious charges. Once a titan among Asia's richest, Hui's empire, stretching from real estate to electric vehicles, is facing turbulent times. On a brighter note, MasterCard is joining hands with Alipay to make sending and receiving money as easy as sending a text message. This partnership aims to bridge the gap in cross-border remittances, tapping into Alipay's colossal user base of over 1 billion in China. It's a strategic move as MasterCard eyes the lucrative Chinese market, following its green light from the People's Bank of China last year. This collaboration could redefine how money moves across borders, making it faster and more convenient for users. So, as we see, from tech giants flexing their financial muscles to historic financial scandals and groundbreaking partnerships, the news today is as varied as it is intriguing. Stay tuned for more detailed coverage on these stories. Tencent may surprise with margin, shareholder return. Bloomberg. Tencent's Q4 sales growth may be slow, but profit margins are expected to beat market consensus thanks to a shift towards high-margin segments, such as mini-games and live-streaming video. The Chinese tech giant may also increase its capital returns through dividends or share buybacks. Tencent's shares have risen 6% in the past 2 months, and optimism is growing for a catch-up in its share price. The company's Q4 sales are expected to have risen 8.6% YoY, while net income likely fell 69%, according to Bloomberg estimates. China accuses Evergrande of $78 billion fraud, among worst ever. Bloomberg. China Evergrande Group founder Hui Ka-yin is at the center of one of the biggest financial fraud cases in history after the developer's onshore unit inflated its revenue by recognizing sales in advance in the 2 years leading up to its default. The China Securities Regulatory Commission imposed a $581 million fine against the unit, which could pave the way for more serious charges against Hui. The allegations mark the latest blow for Hui, once among Asia's richest tycoons, who oversaw a sprawling empire that spanned real estate to electric vehicles. MasterCard expands remittances reach in new pact with Alipay. Bloomberg. MasterCard has partnered with mobile payments app Alipay to expand its cross-border remittance services. The partnership will enable consumers to send and receive money in their digital wallets in near real time. Alipay, which has over 1 billion users in China, will help MasterCard tap into the country's growing demand for cross-border payments. The move comes as MasterCard and other payment firms look to expand their presence in China. Last year, MasterCard was granted a bank card clearing license by the People's Bank of China. Hong Kong private credit bridges gap left by banks' retreat, lends against property. South China Morning Post. Hong Kong-based GA Capital and Pacific Aegis Capital Management Group are raising $400 million to invest in lending opportunities backed by Hong Kong properties. GA Capital is raising a $100 million credit fund and PACM is planning a $300 million special situation fund. Banks in Hong Kong have reduced exposure to the real estate sector, creating opportunities for private credit lenders. Hong Kong's property sector has suffered from falling valuations, sluggish home sales, and record-high office vacancy rates, but some non-bank lenders view this as an investment opportunity, particularly as many borrowers are from mainland China. Coach plots World Cup upset as Hong Kong FA stays silent over contract talks. South China Morning Post. Jorn Anderson, head coach of the Hong Kong national football team, has not been offered a new contract and is considering his future. Anderson's current contract expires in June next year, and he has not had any communication from the Hong Kong FA regarding a new deal. Since taking charge, Anderson has led Hong Kong to the Asian Cup finals in Qatar and the last 4 of the Asian Games in Hangzhou. Despite these achievements, the FA has not moved to secure the 61-year-old on a longer term. Anderson said the governing body had not spoken to him about its plans. New Zealand's Luxon invited to visit China amid AUKUS tensions. Bloomberg. New Zealand Prime Minister Christopher Luxon has been invited to visit China, according to a spokesperson, as Beijing looks to discourage Wellington's interest in joining the AUKUS security pact. The invitation comes as New Zealand's new centre-right government appears to be moving closer to its traditional Western partners such as Australia, the US, and UK. China is New Zealand's largest trading partner. Luxon recently met with Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi during his first official visit to the country since 2017. The discussions included trade and areas of difference such as human rights and tensions in the South China Sea and Taiwan Strait. Climate disclosures, region needs more education, best practices exchange. South China Morning Post. Companies in the Asia-Pacific region will need education, cooperation with suppliers and exchanges of best practices to meet tightening climate disclosure requirements. Climate disclosures are becoming mandatory for companies across the globe, and firms will need guidance on properly disclosing their carbon footprints in line with the classification framework developed by the Greenhouse Gas Protocol, GHGP, which forms the basis for all existing standards for calculating emissions, said Alexander Basson, the inaugural chair of the Independent Standards Board, the GHGP's decision-making body tasked with approving and improving the protocol's standards and guidance documents. Funds that have dodged China's stock rout say it's time to buy. Bloomberg. 2 global funds, Skagen AS and Boston Partners, have both turned bullish on Chinese equities, citing cheap valuations, priced-in financial risks, and improved earnings as key reasons for their change in sentiment. This newfound optimism raises hopes that the Chinese stock market's recent rally may have legs and suggests that global investors may be increasingly convinced of Beijing's resolve to end a $7 trillion rout and the authorities' restrained approach to reviving growth. Why metals will shrug off history's greatest property crash. Bloomberg. China's real estate market has been showing signs of a financial crisis for the past 2 years, with developers China Evergrande Group, Country Garden Holdings, and China Vanke Company struggling. However, building activity has remained relatively stable, with home completions down less than 1% from their peak. This is surprising compared to the US, where home completions fell by half in the 2 years after the housing market peaked in 2006. The implications of this are significant, as China's construction sector accounts for nearly 7% of the world's carbon emissions and has a high demand for metals. India IPO market gains steam, with scooter maker Ola on deck. Nikkei Asia. India's IPO market is set to remain strong this year, with companies like Ola Electric Mobility planning to list as foreign investors seek alternatives to China. The country saw GDP growth of 8.4% in Q4 2023, and its stocks have been booming, creating a favorable environment for firms to use IPOs to fund growth investments. Ola plans to raise up to 55 billion Indian rupees, $664 million, via a dual listing on the BSE and NSE, with the funds to be used for vehicle and battery production and debt repayment. Hong Kong should cherish its open culture that nurtured Jin Yong. SCMP opinion. The recent celebrations of the 100th birthday of Chinese martial arts novelist Louis Cha Liang, better known as Jin Yong, have highlighted the enduring popularity of his works. Jin Yong's novels, which draw on Chinese history and culture, have become a cultural phenomenon in China, inspiring numerous television series, films, video games, and music. His works are now considered must-reads for Chinese literature students and are seen as part of the Chinese identity. Hong Kong, where Jin Yong spent most of his life, has played a significant role in nurturing wuxia culture and keeping Jin Yong's works alive. Mong Kok Flower Market Makeover must keep character. SCMP opinion. The Urban Renewal Authority in Hong Kong is set to push ahead with a large-scale revitalization project in the Mong Kok East area. The project will involve the redevelopment of several sites around the famous flower market, including the construction of a proposed canal to enhance connectivity. The project will also include the construction of new flats, commercial areas, and a municipal complex. However, there are concerns about the potential impact on the character of the neighborhood and the cost of the project. The authority has pledged to preserve the character of the flower market and ensure that less than 20% of the shops are affected. Invest in film and culture in Hong Kong to spur creativity. SCMP opinion. Hong Kong's creative industries, including film, television, and pop music, continue to be an important economic pillar for the city. The government is investing in the sector, with recent injections of 1.4 billion Hong Kong dollars and 2.9 billion Hong Kong dollars into the Film Development Fund and the Create Smart initiative, respectively. Alibaba Digital Media and Entertainment Group has also pledged a 5 billion Hong Kong dollars investment in the culture and film industries over the next 5 years. Despite declining box office and advertising revenues, individual productions have still been profitable, showing the strong fundamentals of the sector. Why there's no need to worry about Article 23 subsidiary legislation. SCMP opinion. The proposed amendment to empower the Chief Executive and Council to make subsidiary legislation under the Hong Kong National Security Law has generated strong reactions from the media and international community. However, Ronnie Tong, a former chairman of the Hong Kong Bar Association, argues that the concerns are misplaced. Subsidiary legislation is a form of secondary legislation that provides operational details and procedures, but never creates new law or new offenses. Furthermore, subsidiary legislation must be subject to the same requirements as the primary legislation and is subject to the oversight of the judiciary. Sunflower Movement 10th anniversary reflects Taiwan's current political divisions. Diplomat. The Sunflower Movement, one of the largest social movements in Taiwanese history, commemorated its 10th anniversary on Monday with a rally in Taipei. The movement began in 2014 in response to the passage of the Cross-Strait Services in Trade Agreement, CSSTA, which would have allowed Chinese investment in Taiwan's service sector industry. Tens of thousands of students occupied Taiwan's legislature for 23 days to protest against the CSSTA, and the movement reached its peak when 500,000 people took to the streets in support of the protesters. The movement raised concerns over the impact of Chinese investment on political freedoms and the potential mainlandization of Taiwan. The political administration of Tsai Ing-wen of the Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, is often seen as having been elected in 2016 due to the momentum generated by the Sunflower Movement. However, the legacy of the movement remains uncertain, with some political figures who emerged from it, such as former Taipei Mayor Ko Wen-je, pivoting towards the Pan-Blue camp. The KMT party is now calling for the revival of the CSSTA. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. we encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6do Brief via email.